Welcome to the Pianist TV channel. In this following masterclass, Graham Fitch discusses trill and ornament technique. The filming takes place at Steinway Hall, right in the heart of London. Before Graham begins his lesson, here's a glance around Steinway's impressive showroom and Hall of Fame, as well as the all-important workshop. On this introduction, Graham plays the Allemande from Rameau's Suite in A minor on a Model D concert grand, the same instrument on which he gives his lesson.
Hello, I'm Graham Fitch and I'm bringing you this video demonstration on trills from Steinway Hall in the heart of London's West End. This goes with my article in Pianist Magazine's issue 75, and I'm going to show you in this demonstration the practicalities of playing trills. I don't want to get into the minefield of performance practice, whether the trills begin on the upper note or the lower note. That's a subject for a whole series of video demonstrations, and I don't really want to get into that here, although it might come up a little bit. What I'm going to do is to show you how to manage trills and how to feel, I hope at the end, how to feel comfortable with trills. Because a lot of people feel awkward about them, they're not sure whether they're doing them correctly, and they feel tight and stiff. So it is my mission to help you out with that here. What I'm going to do first of all is just to put a category of trills which I call chameleons, and that includes all the trills you could ever find. If you think of what a chameleon does, it fits in to its surroundings. So if I'm playing a bright allegro piece, I'll want a bright, fast trill. If I'm playing, let's say, a sarabande, here is a sarabande of Bach, slow music, I wouldn't want fast ornaments. So I think you'll notice what I did there was to shape my trills so that they were melodic. Now, sometimes we might want a trill that sounds like, oh, I don't know, a fire alarm. That kind of a trill, which is electric. And if we look at the situation where we're playing, is this appropriate for that? What is the mood? I think we'll come up with, we'll already feel a little bit freer about whether the trill should be fast or slow. The other thing is the character of the trill. Is it an energetic trill? Is it a lyrical trill? Is it a decorative, graceful trill? I'm thinking about now the Galuppi sonata that we have in the magazine. For me, these trills are very, very light. Let me show you what I think. I wouldn't want them heavy, I just want to caress the keys as I play the ornaments. But the Haydn F minor movement, well, it's actually the F major sonata, but the F minor movement, the second movement, these are very melodic ornaments. That happens to be a turn. You could either do it as a turn or as a mordent. But you see, what I'm doing there is making the trill sing, or the ornament sing. It's not fast and rhythmical. The other question we have to ask is, do we want the trill to be measured with an exact number of notes that we can perceive, or do we want it to sound free and unmeasured? And there are certainly many situations where we'll want the one, and many situations where the other is preferable. If I give you another demonstration from the Bach French suite that I just played, I'll play you the beginning of the Allemande, and I'm going to play the trill in two different ways. I won't say anything until I've done that. That's the first way. Now here's the second way. for me, I prefer the second way. I'm being free with that trill. The first time I did it, I measured it out exactly. I'll do it slowly. Which would be good if the piece were rhythmical, in the sense that it were of lively rhythm. But it's actually rather slow, rather lyrical, and cantabile. So I don't think I'd want to have something that sounded like a series of detonations. I'd rather linger longer on the first note. What I did there, I just realized, is to linger a little bit at the beginning of the trill, get faster during the trill, and then end it rather slower. It's a little bit like an essay. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it has a shape. Now, some trills, as I suggested before, we do want to be very, very strong and pretty much as loud as we can make them and as fast as we can make them. And I'm thinking of the cadential trills in a cadenza. So something like this. I'm just going to make something up. Now, I could go on all day with that trill because it costs me nothing to do it the way that I was doing it, which brings me on. Actually, I'll get to this in a second. I'm using a rotary movement, and I'm fingering it with 1 and 3. Do you see what's happened? I'll show you my wrist. My wrist is low. Do you see the rotation happening here? I'm not using my fingers as such. I'm not articulating my fingers. My fingers are just there in the keys. I could go on for a long time. I'm not in the least bit tired. You are, but I'm not. Let me move on to another factor which I think is important with trills. It's when we have to coordinate them with the other hand. In my adjudication work, I'm often hearing a good trill in itself, but the other hand completely loses the coordination when the trill is put together with it. So if I could suggest that even an unmeasured trill, when we want to play unmeasured way in the end, lends itself to being practiced measured. And if I can I'm going to give you 2 examples of this. The first is in the Clementi F-sharp minor sonata that we have in the magazine. Toward the end of the first movement, there's a trill, which is this. Now, I would suggest practicing it first of all like this if you want. 1 note against 1 note. Until that's very coordinated. Then 2 notes in the right hand to 1 in the left. And then a triplet in the right hand. And then 4 notes. You could equally practice it, first of all 3s. And then go into 4s. And I do suggest practicing a whole variety of different measured variants of a trill in that kind of a situation, so that when you play, you don't have to think about that. Somehow something magical happens and the trill fits together with the other hand in the most beautifully coordinated way. Before I leave that point, I'd just like to focus a little bit on the register of the keyboard, but that's very important when we come to speed of trills. If I'm playing in the lower register of the piano, not only can I get away with a slower trill, I need to have a slower trill because of the resonance. That's already too much. So if I'm thinking of the trill in the G-flat impromptu of Schubert, the tiniest little snippet of that. Again, what I would do for practicing is not only play the trill very slowly, but also very softly. Let me show you 3 possible rhythmical variants. These are all measured. This is another possible measured trill. And finally this one. With a triplet at the end. And if you would practice them very, very consciously, very deliberately like that in those 3 permutations or any other permutation that you like, I guarantee after a little while you will assimilate that and you'll be able to produce something that sounds free. And yet it will have been practiced very carefully. Fingerings. Let's quickly look at fingerings. The first trill fingering we tend to do is 3 and 2. But we should be able to trill between any pair of fingers. So 3 and 1 is a lovely pair. 4 and 2. I can either do that fingered or rotary. Another very strong fingering is 1, 3, 2, 3, and I keep alternating. Do you see what happened there? I added an undulating movement of my arm, which enables me to trill for a long time without getting tired at all. Let's look at what a trill is from the mechanical point of view. It's a rapid alternation of repeated notes. What I'm going to do is to hold down one finger, one key, and play a trill. Do you hear that? I've got a repeated note. I'll do it the other way around. So in order to play a trill, I've got to be able to manage repeated notes. Now, thanks to Sebastian Erard, who invented the double escapement, I don't have to lift the key all the way up in order to replay it. I can lift it only halfway or a fraction of the way up. Now, if I add to that a gentle undulating movement of my arm, I keep physically very free as I manage my repetitions. See? Now I can do that with my other finger as well, obviously. But what I would suggest doing with a trill is to hold down one note and then just sense that escapement. Now, when I suggest holding down a note, I'm not suggesting that we rigidly hang onto the key. Notice that I need to be free to slide in with my undulation. And then the other way around. And before I know it, I've got a very comfortable trill that is fast and even. I think that's the other thing I'd like to say about trills, is to make them very even, no bumps and lumps and no getting faster and getting slower, unless we've decided it should be an unmeasured trill, in which case it will be free. To finish with, I'd just like to demonstrate some of the exercises in the article. I find these very helpful. This is Mozart's exercise. Let me just show you first, and I'll talk over the top of it a little bit. So I'm starting with 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 5-3, 5-4. You can do it as slowly or as fast as you want. There might be a good excuse to get the metronome out and actually measure that out. If you want to build up speed with trills, you can do this exercise, which is very useful. Again, a metronome can help. I'll be a human metronome. So here we go. Double, triplet, semiquavers. See what I'm doing there? Gradually increasing the note values. There are many other exercises that I could show you. I have listed them in the magazine. So I think I'll leave it there for today, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon for my next demonstration.